So you're thinking of moving to Lawrence, Kansas, but you want to know the pros and the cons, the good and the bad, before you make that decision to move into Lawrence, Kansas. Well, in this video, we're going to cover the pros and the cons. And one of the things I love about Lawrence is actually where it sits. It is actually just east of our capital of Topeka and also west of Kansas City. And so you have the best of both worlds, a small town feel, a college town, home of the University of Kansas, and just a young population. And then just to the east of it is going to be Kansas City, a major metropolitan area. And so we're going to cover the pros, but here's the thing, you want to stay until the very end because there may be some cons that may deter you from moving to Lawrence, Kansas. And so we're going to get after it right now. If this is your first time on our channel and you want to learn everything there is about living in Kansas City and the surrounding areas like Lawrence, Kansas, then make sure that you subscribe below and tap the bell for the notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market in Lawrence, Kansas. Hello, my name is Jimmy Ezell. My wife Nikki and I are part of the Living in Kansas City team, and every single day we get phone calls and messages from people just like you and you and you. And so whether you're moving in 9 days or 9 months, make sure you reach out to us. All of our information is in the description box below, and let us know how we can help you. We'd love to set up a time, whether you reach out to us phone or email or set up a Zoom with us. We'll get back with you and help you make that smooth move to Lawrence, Kansas. We'd be happy and excited to be able to help you do that. And so with that, today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of Lawrence, Kansas. Okay, let's go over the pros and cons of living in Lawrence, Kansas. And the first pro that I want to tell you about is the cost of living. The cost of living in Lawrence, Kansas actually is 7% lower than the cost of living in other cities comparable to Lawrence, Kansas. Remember, I told you it's the #1 city in Douglas County in Kansas by niche.com. And the reason why this is a big deal, why it's such a pro, is because your dollar goes so much further there in Lawrence, Kansas. So you still have the hustle and bustle of the big city that's very nearby with Kansas City, all right? Like I said, about a 45-minute drive to downtown, about 30 minutes to the outskirts of the suburbs of like Lenexa and Shawnee and Olathe, there on the in Kansas City, Kansas, on the western side of Kansas City. And so the cost of living is great. Your dollar will go much further with gas and groceries, be able to eat out. We love going to Lawrence, like I told you about, Massachusetts Street, be able to eat at the restaurants nearby there. And then of course, with all of the parks and recreation nearby, the cost of living is actually going to go further for you to be able to enjoy some of the fun things that are nearby there in Lawrence as well. The second pro to living in Lawrence, Kansas is going to be the proximity. Remember, I told you that because of where it's situated, right there about 20 minutes from Topeka, if you work in Topeka, if you work for the government, if you work for the Capitol, you literally have 20 minutes. And I'll share this with you. There is some crime in Topeka. That's kind of what it's known for. So a lot of people do like to live out in the Lawrence area. And then also, if you want to not necessarily live in the suburbs, and you want to live even in a smaller town, Lawrence is a great spot because it's just west of Kansas City. Like I said, the outer skirts of the suburbs, you're talking about a 30-minute drive. And then, like I said, all the way across to the other side, downtown, and even to like Arrowhead Stadium, about a 45-minute drive. So the proximity is great, being right there between Topeka and Kansas City. And then, of course, all the major highways with I-70, Interstate 70, being right there where you can easy access to Topeka, as also easy access to Kansas City. And on the north side, and then on the south side, you've got K10, a 4-lane highway there as well. So very easy access in and out of Topeka. And so proximity definitely is another pro for everybody. So another pro of living in Lawrence, Kansas is it's got a very, very vibrant college atmosphere. Actually, Lawrence has been voted one of the top 10 college cities in the country, for sure one of the top city colleges in Kansas. And you'll see there's a vibrant college atmosphere there, especially when they're having major events with the University of Kansas being there. Almost 30,000 students go there. And also Massachusetts Streets, we call it Massachusetts Streets or Mass Street. it can get very busy there because of all the college students, with about 30,000 students there from all over the world. And so Dr. Naismith, inventor of basketball, because University of Kansas City, of course, is pretty good typically in basketball. And so he's actually buried in Lawrence as well. And so you've got other festivities, and including like Free State Festival and the Lawrence Busker Festival there in Lawrence as well. And just lots of great things, music venues, very cultural, diverse culture because of the different ethnicities that actually attend the University of Kansas as well. And so you're definitely going to have a very rich and vibrant college atmosphere. Like I said, one of the top 10 best college towns in America. Voted that consistently, especially for college basketball fans. And so you'll absolutely love Lawrence for that. So that's definitely another pro. Another pro for Lawrence, Kansas is going to be its beautiful natural surroundings. You've got Clinton Lake there that is absolutely gorgeous. Like I told you, it's about a 35 square mile lake. And what's great about Clinton Lake is that you can rent boats there, you can spend the day there and have fun, you can walk, there's trails, and then there's a ton of other little parks around there. And the other side of Lawrence is that there's also other lakes. You've got Perry Lake just to the north of it. To the southwest would be Hillsdale Lake, and then to the southeast would be Pomona Lake. I think that's right. And so you've got lakes all around it. And then of course there's lots of hiking trails, 25 miles of hiking trails within the city. And so if you like to hike and bike, you're going to love the beautiful natural surroundings of Lawrence. And you won't see mountains, you won't see beaches, but lots of nature trails, a lot of trees nearby Lawrence, Kansas as well. Another big pro is really the strong sense of community that you'll find in Lawrence. Being a college town and a very young, vibrant town, there's a lot of connection. Being a Midwest town too. So you've got Kansas City where you've got a bigger Midwest city, but then you go to Lawrence, and you've got this small town feel. Even though there's about 90-some thousand people there and close to 30-some thousand students, you still have that small town feel. You can get around. You got some busyness of Massachusetts streets there, some of the fun things like that. But there's definitely a strong sense of community there, especially with the residents because they have big events nearby. Let's see here, like Lawrence Busker Festival, the Free State Festival is there, and you'll love it. If you're coming from the West Coast and East Coast, just know this, it's gonna be a little slower than what you're used to. There's no mass transits and, getting around, you'll definitely have to get a car, but you'll definitely love the small, strong sense of community that you get by living in Lawrence, Kansas. Another pro, of course, is the great education system. Having University of Kansas there, a lot of people, end up graduating, with over 30-some thousand students, and we have represented by 100 different countries. You also have, just so everybody knows, Haskell Indian Nation University there. It's home to representing over 150 tribes, so that's awesome that we have that there in Lawrence as well. The schools, I think if you go to niche.com, you'll find that the schools are rated really well. On niche.com, Lawrence actually is the #1 city in Douglas County. It has an A+ rating. It's a great place, of course, to not only work, but live, especially if you want a smaller town versus living in Kansas City. And it's also been voted the #1 most educated small city in America. So education is a big deal, great education system, especially anchored with University of Kansas. And so you'll love that your children will be able to get good education there as well. And then if they just want to stay, they can just go to the University of Kansas there in Lawrence and be able to enjoy, a Division I school that's got, of course, national recognition and does quite well, not only academically, but also in sports. So that would definitely be another pro. Okay, let's talk about some cons of living in Lawrence, Kansas. The first one is a college town, and some of the college town challenges that you face is that when they have big events, things like that, it can get very crowded, especially during the school year. The first months, August, September, people are moving in, that can get very crowded. Massachusetts Street can get very crowded. So that can be a con for people, if you don't like being around so many people, especially the younger generation. There's a little bit of that. But just know this, you can always move out a little bit into the western part, away from the campus a little bit. There's lots of great subdivisions out there. And so that would definitely be a con, that it has a college town, a big college town, what Lawrence is known for, especially with having University of Kansas there. Another con that you're going to find is limited public transportation. There is no real transit transit, even from going from Lawrence to Kansas City. So you're going to definitely have to get a car. That way you can travel through there. But the good thing is it's, like we said, about under 100,000 people live there. You got close to 30-some thousand students. Make sure you have a car, you can get around. And then of course, when you want to go to the big city, you're only 30 to 45 minutes away from Kansas City. And then of course, you want to go to the capital, you're about 20 minutes from there. So definitely make sure that you have a car, no public transportation. So that would definitely be a con. Another con is going to be that it's a smaller job market in Lawrence. And because a lot of people get educated and maybe move on, some jobs there for sure in terms of Lawrence, especially the education and people getting educated. But most people, if they're looking for a job, they'll just commute to Kansas City or commute to Topeka, mostly Kansas City. A lot of people will live in Lawrence and then just commute because, of course, the housing costs are going to be affordable. The cost of living is more affordable in Lawrence. And so, even though you've got a very diverse economy, you've got a very diverse population compared to larger cities the same size, because of the University of Kansas, there is also, though, a limited job market there. And so just know this, you may have to find a job in Kansas City, right? And just commute there. Once again, because of the highway system, very easy to get to Kansas City on I-70 or K-10 as well. And the last con I want to share with you is really, if you've got to travel, or if you have a job that makes you travel, you travel a lot, getting to KCI is actually about a 45-minute drive. And that can be a con for some people. The great thing about it is that is on the outside of Kansas City from Topeka, straight on 70 to 435 up to, you can take 29 south and get there. And there's really hardly ever any traffic. So it's all interstate, very easy to get to, but it is a con because it's like 45 minutes away and you'll have to make sure that you allocate time to get to the airport. So if you have one of those jobs where you have to travel a lot or you do travel a lot, make sure that you think about that. All right. So those are the pros and cons of living in Lawrence, Kansas. At the end of the day, there's definitely more pros, I believe, moving to Lawrence, Kansas, living in Lawrence, Kansas. Like I said, the proximity of it, of course, the education system, you've got the college town feel. It can be a pro and a con. Definitely the economy in terms of cost of living there, the housing prices, because you're just outside of Kansas City in a smaller town. And so if you're looking to move to Lawrence, Kansas, we'd love to help you. Make sure you get our information and reach out to us, phone, text, or set up a Zoom meeting with us. We'd love to help you make it a smooth move to Lawrence, Kansas, and enjoy a town that we think that a lot of people, we go there and eat a lot. That's the main reason why we go there, is for that, and occasionally some fun stuff as well, festivities or something like that. But definitely on Massachusetts Street, we love to go there and eat at the restaurants there. And so those are the pros and cons of living in Lawrence, Kansas. Like I said, if you need any help, reach out to us. And with that, we hope to see you around town. Take care, everybody.